It's summer. Time to enjoy long days, lazy nights, and zero cooking. Because Uber Eats has deals all summer long. So, when hunger strikes, don't sweat it. Delicious deals are just a tap away on Uber Eats. Enjoy all your favorite food delivered straight to you. Get Burger King, Subway, Popeyes, and hundreds more local favorites and savor every last bite. Now that sounds like a good summer. Order now on Uber Eats. Terms apply. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
This is CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Today on CityCast Madison. Last month of summer. Here's to looking at you, kid. It's time for our August guide, a part of our monthly tradition where the CityCast Madison team gets together ahead of the new month and talks about the things we're most excited to do, see, and eat in that coming month. And while we're talking stellar places to eat and also drink, this podcast is sponsored by Merchant, the popular downtown restaurant with soulful roots in Madison. Located in the heart of Madison's First Settlement District, Merchant's a pioneer in Madison's cocktail culture. They're known for their premier American cuisine with mostly locally sourced foods, creative craft cocktails, and a welcoming community vibe. Plus, they've got a newly renovated chic space, which they make the most of through evolving programming, including jazz nights, date night specials, and special events. And they have a reliably knockout brunch, y'all. So right off the bat, consider adding Merchant to your list of August adventures. All right, let's bring in the team. Joining me today for this August guide is our executive producer, Haley Sperling. Hello.
Hi, Bianca. Can't believe that we're saying it's August already. That's fine. That's fine.
Continually surprised. And also here with us is our newsletter editor, Rob Thomas. Hey, Rob.
Hey, Bianca. Happy August. August is weird because a lot of people, I think, are ready for fall in some way, even though fall means winter. But I'm ready for one more month of summer, personally.
Yeah, to weigh in, I'm a fall person, so I kind of always am feeling that way, but it is kind of creeping in, and we know the pumpkin things will slowly start popping up, and people are talking about football already. It just comes to you fast. But while we are here in summer, we'll give summer its cred, right? August, we are going to do things, and my first recommendation for something to do is dance. Dance, baby, dance. My top to do is going to Dane Dances, the annual summertime dance party, every Friday of August on the Monona Terrace rooftop. That's a wholesome, diverse, connected space full of intergenerational joy and dancing and love. And if y'all out there have been listening to the podcast for a minute, you might have heard one of my interviews with the president of Dane Dances, Al Cooper, the past 2 years. He is such a sweetheart, and he's been organizing this community jam for decades. Last year was the 25th anniversary, and they just regularly have absolutely phenomenal musical acts that Madisonians love, like VO5, Rebulu Group, Orquesta Del Sol del Mod, which is Madison's premier Latin-infused soul band. They just have really great music, and then touring acts with global beats. So it's just a gorgeous dance party on top of the Monona Terrace, which is an incredible space. Have y'all been up there and seen that view? Bonus points if you've also been there to dance.
I have not formally been to Dane Dances, but I have danced on the Monona rooftop, if that counts.
It does.
It's such a beautiful space. I think it is truly, I mean, we all know and love the Lake Mendota Terrace, but I think like truly the if you know terrace of Madison is the Monona rooftop. Like it is just beautiful. You can see the lake for so far, and it just feels there just aren't that many rooftop spaces in Madison. You know, we've talked about this before with our friend Lindsay Christians from the Cap Times, and you know, it's just nice when we're able to get outside and enjoy the views.
Rob, have you been out dancing?
Have I danced on the rooftop?
Have you lived, Rob?
I've lived. I think I did go to a Dane Dances once, and it was really fun. I don't think I actually partook of the dancing, but it is a fun community gathering. And they use that rooftop for cool stuff. Don't they have rooftop yoga there some mornings? Like it's a great spot.
Yeah. They have rooftop yoga. And for the Dane Dances, in addition to like the musical acts and dancing, they have DJ Francis Medrano, who does sort of teaching people how to dance for a segment. Like he's there every Friday, and I've seen him do his magic at different like conferences at the Monona Terrace, but also different events across Madison. I also understand that Al himself doesn't really dance, but he just appreciates soaking up the vibes of intergenerational love, like kids and people of just all ages are dancing. So I always want to do a shout out to Dane Dances. And I just think it's something that's totally free. It's super family friendly. And this year's theme is a celebration of cultures. Any event that is dedicated to bringing people together and recognizing and appreciating other people's cultures should be protected, like protect Dane Dances at all costs and go and have fun. There's also, by the way, always a rain backup location because it is summer. So those are mostly at the Monona Terrace itself, but there is one this year at the Alliant Energy Center. So every Friday, you can go get your dance on. They've got 2 bands scheduled. You can catch an early show around 6 or a later show around 8. That's a really good way to have a great August if you just did that. But there's so many more things to do, including dancing and celebrating music across the city. Right, Rob?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Near East Side, of course, Reese Stevens Field was turned into a concert venue a few years ago. It's been kind of quiet this summer, I think, compared to other summers. I don't know if the big shows at Camp Randall have kind of taken all the focus on outdoor concerts, but there's one coming up that I'm interested in on August 14th. It's a co-headlining show with Flaming Lips and Modest Mouse. Full disclosure, both bands I probably was paying more attention to maybe 20 years ago, but they both put on great shows. When I was first a critic in Madison in the late 90s, I reviewed a Flaming Lips show at the Barrymore, and my mind was blown. There was like confetti. There were people in bunny suits dancing in the aisles. Little Robbie grew up that day, and they put on such a fun show. Like it's just so joyful. And then on the other hand, Modest Mouse, I think, is a very, earnest, straightforward, high energy band with a lot of good songs. So I think it's a really fun pairing. And again, that's August 14th at Reese Stevens Field. So if the weather holds out, I think that's going to be a great night.
I love both of those bands, but yeah, Rob, I never really considered it when you say like putting the two together. Like I could see their music coming up in a playlist together, right? In sort of that, 2010s indie sleaze, this is what's playing at your coffee shop sort of vibe. But like, yeah, going on a show together, that'll be an interesting one because I haven't been to a Flaming Lips concert, but I've seen a couple online because I just like watching concert videos sometimes. But yeah, like you said, they really put on a show. They do a lot of stuff with like inflatables and there's streamers and balloons and sparkles and all that stuff. And then yeah, like Modest Mouse is just like, I don't know, it kind of gives me like Weezer vibes, like
Right.
they're doing the show and everyone's having a great time, but it's like not transporting you to another planet to where, there are giant creatures walking around and singing the songs with you.
I'm thinking Modest Mouse will go first just because I don't think they want to perform on the stage with all this leftover glitter from
So
Flaming
real.
Lips. But we'll see.
That's super funny. And yeah, I have a story where I used to live like a couple blocks from Breeze Stevens, and I was having an extremely tough day, and I was in the shower, got out of the shower, opened the window, and I was like, oh, there's this cover band playing Modest Mouse. And I'm like, they're not as good as the actual thing. And I was like, wait a second. And like immediately, as quickly as I could, like got ready, ran outside. And there was all of this cottonwood, all those seeds like floating around. And I just in the parking lot, you could hear the Modest Mouse concert perfectly. And for me, those songs transported me to another world, to when I was like so into Modest Mouse, and the joy levels were peak and me feeling like, wow, it's just right here in our neighborhood, like these huge musicians. And so I love this recommendation because I think people have a really good time at the Breeze Stevens shows.
Yeah, absolutely. People crowd the rooftops and their balconies. I mean, it's not a neighborhood festival, but it brings people together, I think, around the stadium.
I was just thinking, I feel like Breeze Stevens walks, so now these Camp Randall concerts could run. Like it really does bring in the community, right? Because there's no way that you're going to, even if you can't afford the $600 Coldplay ticket, like I could not, but you can't not hear it from outside of the stadium. And, it's also cool to be able to go and support those businesses. And yeah, like you said, Rob, people go into the rooftops of like the Galaxy building and watch the shows. It's just a fun little community moment.
I mean, also, you can pay and go in. That's probably even a better experience, but
I think they prefer that. Yeah, maybe not.
We're balling on a budget this month, you know. I just got back from vacation. We're saving in August.
What else is going on in August? Haley, what's your to-do?
Well, I got a free to-do for you.
Yay!
So, June is typically recognized as Pride Month across the U.S., but here in Madison, we keep the fun going all summer long. And so my thing to do for this August is Outreach's annual Magic Pride Festival, which is happening Sunday, August 17th from 1 to 6 p.m. over at Warner Park. And so on deck, they'll have a stage with local LGBTQ plus identified performers, a whole bunch of vendors. I bet you can expect a lot of really cute trinkets and knickknacks. You know, a trinket booth hates to see me coming. There will be activities for kids and family, and of course, food and beverages galore. So super exciting. And one thing that's new this year is us. CityCast Madison is actually going to have a little table at this event. So if you're there, come stop by and say hi. We'd love to see you and give you some swag. I got a lot of stickers and coasters to hand out. So yeah, are y'all excited for Pride? You guys like Magic Pride Fest and Pride in August? No better time, right?
I mean, I think everyone could have their spirits lifted. It's kind of a heavy time for things in the world, and there's nothing more powerful than pride and the spirit of activism and community and coming together around our differences. And yeah, I think it's gorgeous, and we want to pride out. I'm so stoked to, have an opportunity to be there. Like, thank you for having us.
Yeah, I'm excited to get out and meet people and you say, hand out stickers, and it should be a great event. I did have a question, Haley. Do you know why it's in August? Because
Yes.
I'm not mad about it, but it is interesting that it's not in June, right?
Yeah, so this is a great question. It's one that I've always kind of wondered as well. So let me back up and I'll give you guys a quick little history lesson because you guys know that I kind of love doing this. I love diving into the Madison history of it all.
Context.
Yes. Madison has a long history of Pride events that stretches back decades. And the Magic Pride Festival, as we know it today, actually got its start as both a march and a picnic back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And, we know that Madison loves a protest. And so the start of this Pride was really no different. There were two major marches, one in 1989 and one in 1991, that drew thousands of people out, and they were all celebrating, queer pride and joy and just being literally out and about in the community. There were two committees that sort of helped form and formalize these events. The first one is MAGIC, which we know is in the name of the Pride Festival that we will be at this year. And that's also an acronym for the Madison Area Gay Interim Committee. And then the second group that helped put it on was the Galvanize group, which is also an acronym for Gay and Lesbian Visibility Alliance. And so the MAGIC group was formed partially in response to Anita Bryant's anti-gay campaign of the 1970s and early 80s. And Anita Bryant, if you don't know, I didn't know, she was a singer in the 70s and 80s who basically ran a campaign to repeal a law that basically got rid of discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation in Miami. And so she was like, no, gay is not okay. And eventually, she kind of won out on that campaign, but lost out in the long term. She was kind of blacklisted in the industry and did not go over so well for her. But anyways, this group was reformed in response to that. And so they started putting on these marches, they started putting on these picnics, but they realized that it's a lot of work, to draw thousands of people out. And, like I said, the first march was in 1989. The second one was in 1991. You'll notice there's 2 years between there because, again, it was just a lot of work. And so going back to the question of why is this in August? Well, as we've noted, many cities around the nation have Pride celebrations throughout June to help coincide with the anniversary of the Stonewall Rebellion. But Madison organizers didn't want to take away from those celebrations, those bigger ones that are often happening in Minneapolis and Milwaukee and Chicago. They wanted people to be able to go to those, but they still wanted people to come to the events in Madison. So they simply opted to hold their event a few weeks later. And so over the years, Madison's Pride celebrations have looked a little bit different. We've had a lot of parades. But back in 2019, Outreach took over, and we know them as a local nonprofit that works with LGBTQ plus communities. And they now run the Outreach Magic Festival, which got its start in 2019. So a little bit of a winding history lesson for you. The TLDR of it all is just timing. They just wanted people to be able to enjoy Pride everywhere.
That's so conscientious. It's so gay. Gay is the way. I'm so glad that we had that history. Because also that's what Pride is about too, is commemorating history. That's another one of the goals. And that is awesome. That's awesome. And also as somebody who's like Black History Month, 1 month, there's been, activism and pushes for equality outside of 1 month, and we should be celebrating all year. So heck yeah, we're hitting it in August.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Welcome to Sephora. I'm looking for a perfume that's not too perfumey. I got you.
Serum moisturizer or moisturizer serum.
Let's get into layering.
My concealer is making me look worse.
Sounds like the wrong shade. Let's get you matched.
There's only one store that really gets what you're going for. Get beauty from people who get beauty. Only at Sephora.
Hi, Let's get you a basket.
Let's turn to things that we can see in August. And my first recommendation is Orton Park Fest. It is their 60th anniversary for this festival of the gods. I don't know if that's a dramatic way to describe it. But Orton Park Fest is a beloved community festival that happens at the end of August. And I think it's something to see. In addition to some of the top local and touring bands that play at the festival also hosts Cycropia aerial dance shows under the mighty oaks of Orton Park. And it's something to see. There's crazy lights, outfits that are crazy. When seeing people doing feats of creative strength the past years, people are outfitted out, like dressed with butterfly wings, which is so of that community. People walking on stilts under the moonlight. It's quite the scene. Have any of y'all caught Cycropia aerial dance in these streets?
But yeah, they're super cool. I love seeing them perform at any of the festivals that they're at. They do like these really cool, like you said, aerial dance maneuvers that make me be like, I could do that. And then it's like, no, you can't even do a somersault. So don't try and do it in the air.
Never looking at them and thinking I can do that. That is the last thing in my mind. Give me some ribbons. Hoist me up there. Let's see what happens. No.
Get Rob in the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone has totally different reactions to it, but it is stunning. And that's the appeal of like, oh, I want to be one of these. I want in. I get that for sure. And, last year, Haley, you and I went to this festival where the headliner was Minneapolis rapper and hip hop poetess Dessa, who we interviewed on the podcast. Talking to her was incredible. It's a great listen. It's worth going back for. And I was asked, actually, thanks to Colleen Hayes, a community hero, to introduce Dessa on the stage at that festival. And looking out at everyone under the oak trees at one of Madison's prettiest parks, it was very clear why this festival is so special. And it's really the people. Like, the people are something to see. So there's the aerial dancers, there are the musicians, but the people under the trees, it's a beautiful thing. And these trees are really celebrated. Do you guys agree that there's something special about the Orton Park Fest? I suppose we could say that about all of them, but I feel a special connection to it.
I feel like each East Side Festival, because this is, just another East Side Festival, really holds its own spot in each community's heart, right? And I think there is something so beautiful about like Orton Park versus like Atwood Fest, which is, community on the street. It's like a block party, but Orton Park, it's like you're in the park and it feels almost like ethereal, like you're a little like a woodland fairy. So yeah, I think Orton Park Festival definitely has like a very magical vibe to it. And the aerial dancers are just like the icing on top of the cake, right?
Right. You should note that the exact musical acts, their lineup is not yet announced as of this recording. Otherwise, I would share them. But I imagine it's going to be a big year since it's the 60th anniversary. I just imagine they're trying to get some special musicians. If you want to put this on your calendar, it's a few days on August 29th through the 31st. So I definitely recommend following their updates on their Facebook page. I think that's kind of where things get first. They also have a website. But yeah, Orton Park Fest. It's a big year for them. It's talking about, like being outside. I think your to-do has something to do with that, Rob.
I think all our recommendations are like being outside, which makes sense in August, right? Because we don't know when the cold weather's coming.
Fight the dying of the light.
There you go. One thing I like to do in the summer is to see movies outside, whether, Lakeside Cinema at the Memorial Union Terrace is a great series. There's usually pop-up screenings around town, like at Lisa Link Peace Park. But the one that feels the most Madison to me is Rooftop Cinema at the Madison Museum of Contemporary Art on State Street. I think this is the 18th year they've done this, where on Thursday nights in August, they show movies on that rooftop garden, which have you guys been to it? I think it got a lot more traffic when the Fresco restaurant was up there, but I don't know if people are up there as much anymore.
I've been up there, A, because I used to work at Momoka, but B, I went for a conference when it was Fresca and it was that restaurant. It's magical up there as well.
It feels like tucked away in something. Like it's a cool perspective on downtown, especially when they show movies there after dark. It's just a cool little space, and they've got the screen up on one wall. And if I remember right, because it's the art museum, I mean, the movies are pretty artsy. Like it started off as like a very experimental film festival, and you just see these wild films up there after dark. And since our buddy Jim Kroll, who's been on the podcast before, film programmer, has taken over, it's much more eclectic, where there's just all kinds of movies up there. Like on July 31st, there's this really trippy, like 1972 German animated movie that is completely psychedelic.
Sure, I'm sold.
Right. Called The Cathedral of New Emotions. So it's very highfalutin. But then next Thursday, August 7th, is this acclaimed documentary called Sugarcane, which is about the investigation into one of those residency schools that were in Canada that Indigenous children were forced to go to and had their identity basically, beaten out of them. Quite frankly, they were abused. And
it's heavy.
It's supposed to be a really powerful documentary. I mean, you can't think of two more different movies than that and a trippy German psychedelic animated movie. So that's Thursday nights. And this might be new. They're all free. They used to be like $7, but free if you were a museum member. But this year they're all free. So check the calendar at momoka.org, because they've got something cool every week.
August on a budget.
Yeah.
Free and outdoors. That's our goals for August.
Well, my event, it could be free. It could be quite costly, depending on how you spin it. But you guys know that August means the return of students, and students means Badgers, and Badgers means game day. Y'all ready for it?
Let's go.
Let's go. So the first home football game of the season is Thursday, August 28th against Miami University. That is Miami University of Ohio at 8 p.m. at Camp Randall Stadium, of course. Before we get too deep, are y'all big Badger football fans? Y'all like to do the sports? I know you guys, Bianca was our big football correspondent for a minute, and Rob, you've been our sports correspondent. So
that's right. Yet I've never been to a game at Camp Randall. I've actually been to 2 Packers games at Camp Randall where they did like preseason games, but I've never seen a Badgers game there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I only went to one Badgers game, and I could, probably write a movie about it. Like, it was that impactful. I was like, okay, I've done that, but I do like watching the Packers, and I'm always rooting for the Badgers.
We love it. And I mean, we know Camp Randall occupies just such a special place in the Madison community, like literally and physically, on game days, it creates its whole economy. So for anyone who hasn't been part of the game day ritual, I guess I'll say, I'll set the scene for you a little bit. So imagine just crowds, and I mean crowds of red and white clad students, parents, alumni, and just people flooding the streets of Madison. And truly, depending on when the game starts, the drinking might also be flooding the streets as early as like 8 a.m. So there are pre-games, aka pre-game drinking events, to be found all across Madison. There's the raunchy and rowdy throwdowns that happen over on Langdon Street, to the buzzing bar scene over on Regent Street, to the family-friendly Badger Bash over at Union South. The festivities are everywhere, and so are the people. So I like to tell people that if you hate crowds, game day is a great day to get away. Do you guys have a favorite like tailgate scene? Because they are all so different. And we've talked about this a little bit about, the different Badger tailgates that happen with DJ Nick Nice in a past episode. And I don't know. I think that each one just has such a unique personality. I always personally would pregame at the houses, like kind of by Camp Randall, like over on like Lathrop sort of area. And those are kind of like the ones where hopefully you know someone if you're going into those houses. You're not just showing up to some random person's, home and being like, let me in. Sometimes they'll let you. Sometimes if you'll like, get on one knee and do a flabongo, they'll be like, you can come in now. That's how you know.
Are we talking like previous favorite pre-games places, or like you're talking like still like going back and pre-gaming?
Well, I'd say probably previous. It's been a long time since I have been to a pre-game. I'll say that. I feel like these days, if I'm going to go out and watch a football game, or if I'm going to pregame anything, it's going to be like with friends at someone's house, or like maybe at a bar
with chips and dip.
Yeah, like honestly, a State Street vibe. Like I feel like State Street, it's not that it doesn't really get wild on game days, but it's like people are sort of concentrated in the sports bars, doing their drinking, like having a good time there. People aren't really like flooding the street there. I will say like in the Regent Street area, it is people out and about,
Yeah, that's a good middle ground to be in the scene, but not in the scene. Good call.
Yeah, there's plenty of places to pregame. And, while we're talking about drinking, I guess we should talk about the sports. Are the Badgers even good this year? Disclaimer, I'm not a sports reporter, even though we have just deemed me to be one. I am a fan, but y'all know that like truly when it comes to sports, I'm really just in it for the bit. Anything and everything that involves a coordinated or curated outfits, I am there for. So take all of this with a grain of salt, maybe a heaping chunk, a cheese curd size bit of salt. But it seems like the Badgers, they're not expected to bomb this year, but they're also not really expected to stand out. They have apparently a pretty grueling schedule this year, with 5 of their opponents having been ranked in the NCAA top 25 last season. And that's according to the student newspaper, the Daily Cardinal. So it's gonna be some tough matchups. I'm looking at their schedule now, and they're going up against Alabama in Alabama. They're going up against Oregon in Oregon. Like those ones might be kind of rough for Badger fans to watch. We'll wait and see.
Is somebody mad at the Badgers to make that schedule? Like, did they do something?
Did we piss someone off earlier?
Yeah.
I don't know. Odd makers expect the Badgers to win about 5 games this year. And for context, last season we went 5-7. So pretty much holding steady. We're not holding our breath for a Rose Bowl, but we can guarantee nonetheless game day will be a great time because it's what you make of it. And it's how much effort you put into your outfit is what really counts in my book. So that's my thing to see, is all the beautiful faces flooding the streets on game day.
Beautiful colors, beautiful people. I will say, it's almost making me want to tune back into the Badger football scene because I've kind of out of it for a second there. But I did have a cousin that played for the Badgers when they actually did take them in 1999 to the Rose Bowl.
And that's a huge flex, low-key, that you just
dropped. Yeah, Cecil Martin, let's go. But it's not great to hear their odds this year, so I hope they prove us wrong. But we do like the colors. We like team spirit and getting things together and getting behind a common cause, right? And you know what? Why not get behind our cause? We're going to make it about ourselves here. CityCast Madison, we've got a color. It's Madison Lakes Blue. We've got a name, CityCast Madison, and the cause is connecting our neighbors to each other, staying informed.
I think our record is way better than 5-7.
True. Yeah, we're at like 640. But yeah, just wanted to shout out, we are member supported, this podcast and our newsletter, Madison Minutes. And we love all of you who are already our neighbors. We love everyone who listens. And if you're not a neighbor, you should be one. Don't you think so?
Join our team, join the squad, join the city cast. I love that you say our color is Madison Lakes blue. That is so real. It is beautiful and it is calming. And yeah, we are like 640 to 0, basically, if you're looking at our podcast scores, and the newsletter is even higher. So yeah, no, I mean, but seriously, like it is, everything that we're doing is about community, and talking about our August guide is just about us getting out into the community and being excited about what's going on in Madison and, you know, our neighbors and our members. Like this is such a big part of that. Like they are the folks that help keep us going and that help energize us to keep going and doing these things out in these streets. So yeah, if you're thinking about becoming a neighbor, it really is the best way to support the show, support the work that we do.
Yeah, and I was thinking, like in August, like it's maybe easier to feel connected to Madison because you can go out to these big events and stuff. Less so maybe in February, March when it's really cold, and I think that's when I depend on things like CityCast, like to feel like, well, you know, even though we're all freezing in our houses, we still feel like we're part of the community together, and we're connected to each other, and we're all kind of getting through this together.
We're freezing together. And in August, we're sweating together.
And it just reminded me that if you're a member, you also get access to our members only events listing every week that we pull together. You get to find out a week ahead everything that's going on. So another reason, if you want to become a CityCast Madison neighbor and support us, head to membership.citycast.fm. All right, let's talk food. And people we want to support is where I'm headed with my food recommendation. Our producer Jade put us onto this spot, and I want to shout it out and try it. It's a new Northside Cafe to go that serves banh mi sandwiches and homemade baked goods and boba tea. It's called Dreamy Teasy on North Sherman and opened early July. So it's kind of in a soft open early phase, but there are plenty of hours that you can get in there. And it sounds fantastic. I love me a banh mi. And even more, I love a great person to support. And there's a good story from the Cap Times reported by Ashley Rodriguez about the owner, Mi Yang, and the cafe. It was so sweet. And basically, it sounds like this cafe is Yang's dream. She's a mom of 6 kids, and she talked to her family about quitting her job to start it and got the blessing of her kids, including even the help of some of her kids in the cafe to make it happen. The article said that, quote, everything on the menu is a family favorite, and the menu items are influenced by Hmong, Vietnamese, Lao, and Thai cuisine, which is just sounds so good. The bread for the banh mi is baked in house, and you can get all the traditional fillings like lemongrass and chicken liver pate and ham, barbecue pork, and then with, you know, the toppings, pickled carrots, radishes, jalapenos. They've got rice bowl options, you know, with the proteins, and then a ton of desserts like rice cakes, tiramisu, and I saw a recent Facebook post that they have cake rolls in all kinds of different flavors like honeydew, strawberries, mango, and raspberry. Everything sounds incredible. So yummy.
I had to zone out like partway through that because I just got so hungry, and I was just like, oh my God, everything sounds so good. I'm honestly so glad that you brought this spot up because my friend who lives on the north side has been like, we need to go to Dreamy Teasy. Like I keep seeing the sign and like, I really want to go. So like, wow, this is my sign. I need to go there now. Can we go? Can we go right now?
I saw the sign.
That's like the stickiest name. Like you don't forget that name, Dreamy Teasy.
So true.
Rob, where are you looking forward to eating or drinking?
Yeah, I'm drinking this time. I'm a big, I won't say I'm a big beer drinker. That may come out wrong, but I do like a beer. But I've never been to Great Taste in the Midwest, which is the big annual beer festival at Olin Park, which this year is on August 9th, just because people are just fanatical about it. Tickets go on sale in the spring and they are snapped up instantly. People line, you know, it's like Coldplay for beer. It's like people line up and get their tickets. And I always feel left out. But one thing I've noticed, which is nice, is that a lot of the brew pubs and breweries around town will do pre-show events the night before on August 8th. Like I saw Delta Beer Lab, which is actually not that far from Olin Park. On Friday, they have like 16 different brewers and distilleries offering guest beers and spirits and sort of a pre-party from 5 to 8. And Working Draft and Carbon 4 will have pre-parties. They'll have guest brewers come in and serve some of their beers. They'll come up with new beers just for Taste of the Midwest that they'll sort of do a sneak preview of. I saw Starkweather Brewing has a beer and chicken wing pairing. So it seems like kind of a nice, kind of low effort way to kind of get in the great Taste of the Midwest spirit and check out some of these cool breweries around town. And the bonus is, a lot of times they'll raffle off tickets to Great Taste of the Midwest at these pre-parties.
It's like a twofer there.
It's like a twofer. So you might get a shot of actually going on Saturday.
I love that the Great Taste of the Midwest is so great that they need overflow. Like the beer must overflow
Basically,
spaces, like to get in and get some beer. Like it's not enough. We need more.
I got another taste event coming up in the month of August, too, if we're ready for that. Labor Day weekend brings us the annual Taste of Madison, which is not to be confused with the Great Taste of the Midwest, because honestly, I have done that before. And like when we were planning to have this conversation, I was like, dang, Rob stole my thing. And then I was like, wait, no, he didn't.
I would never.
Never. But Taste of Madison, the annual event, it is billed as the, quote, largest picnic on Capitol Square. And it truly is just that. It runs August 30th and 31st on Capitol Square. And what you can expect is dozens, 80 plus food vendors with live music and entertainment all day. Another cool thing, since we're balling on a budget this month, the event is free. And on top of that, there are a bunch of volunteer groups who work to raise money for charity through this event. So in 2023, the Taste of Madison actually donated over $78,000 to these volunteer groups at the event, which is like pretty awesome. So it's a great day full of food, music, and community. It's worth noting that the event is free. Of course, the food is not. You need to pay for your food. They say, according to Taste of Madison, that some food vendors accept cash, some accept cards, some are going to be cash only. So you can check online too before ordering, but it's always just a good idea to keep some cash on hand. But on the flip side of that, just know that all of the beverage stands that sell, adult beverages and whatnot, those are going to be credit and debit card only and will not accept cash. So have y'all been to Taste of Madison?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a classic. Just this whole roundup is making me really happy, and like everything we have to offer in our city.
We're blessed.
Yeah, we're blessed. We truly are. We're blessed. And these are great restaurants. You bring them all in one place and location. Man, it's a good time.
It's a real nice way to try that restaurant that's on the other side of town that you haven't made time to go have a full meal at. You just get like a little paper tray for $3 or $4 of one of their signature dishes. And it's a great way to try 3 or 4 of them and sample the city.
I love that. Sampling the city. It's a great way to sort of, again, I hate to be cliche about it, but like literally get a taste of Madison. There are so many different restaurants there. Some spots to look out for. I'm not going to name them all because like I said, there are over 80 of them, but there's going to be Bonzo, Caracas Arepas and Empanadas, Common Pasta, El Sabor de Puebla, Jakarta Cafe, Just Veggies, La Taguara, Lombardino's, Mishki, and Nothing Bundt Cakes. Obviously, there's going to be ice cream choices as well. So like truly something for everyone. The music lineup is also kind of stacked this year with lots of genres represented. On Saturday, the red jumpsuit apparatus is going to be on the main stage. Which,
I know where you're going to be.
You know where I'm going to be. That if you don't know, they kind of caught fire in like the early aughts to those who love pop punk, aka me. This is not the first time I've seen them on a stage in Madison. So super stoked. But on Sunday, local fave, the People Brothers Band will headline the Wisco stage, aptly named and located on Wisconsin Avenue. So like I said, something for everyone, from you pop punkers out there to those who just want to jam and vibe. So looking forward to Great Taste this year. It's always a good time.
There's so many great tastes, so many great sites, so many great activities. I'm looking forward to August. I bet y'all are too. Y'all, thanks for bringing your recommendations for this guide. It's always such a blast.
Heck yeah, we did it.
Haley Sperling, thanks so much.
Thanks, Bianca.
And Rob Thomas.
Thanks, Bianca.
That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin. your host. Don't forget, as we shared, you can support CityCast Madison and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Madison neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. And before we go, we've got some news. CityCast is coming to the Twin Cities. That's right, we're getting a CityCast Twin Cities in the fam. And there are open positions. If you or someone you know might be interested, the open roles include host, creative producer, and senior account executive. Head to citycast.fm to learn more. All right, we'll be back tomorrow morning with our Friday News Roundup. Until then, take good care.